You know, we always obsess over the speakers. They're the ones that get the photo shoots. They get the nice spot in the living
Oh,
room.
absolutely. They're the face of the whole system.
But today, we're kind of going into the engine room. We're doing a deep dive on the WolfPack 50-watt Class-D stereo power amplifier.
That's part number MON 18513 for anyone looking it up.
And the mission here is, well, it's to figure out how a pretty compact $175 unit manages to pack in so many features that feel like they belong in a professional custom install.
Exactly. On the surface, it's just this little black box. But when you get into the specs, you see it's not really meant to just sit on a desk. It's a building block.
It's incredibly scalable. So let's start with the core architecture. It's Class D.
Right, what you'd expect in something this small for, thermal efficiency.
We're looking at 50 watts per channel at 8 ohms, and it bumps up a little to 65 watts at 4 ohms.
And the distortion is solid. It's under 0.1% THD plus N, but that isn't really the main story here.
No, not at all. The real aha moment is that bridgeable output feature.
That is the critical part, because you can take this stereo amp and completely transform it into a monoblock.
And you're not just combining the channels, you're actually more than doubling the output.
To 120 watts into a single 8-ohm load, yeah. It completely changes the use case.
It really does. All of a sudden, you're not just powering a pair of little bookshelf speakers.
Not at all. You can get 2 of these, bridge them both, and drive a really power-hungry outdoor zone.
Or even a passive subwoofer, something that really needs that extra current.
And that lets you mix and match power levels, all within the same system.
Speaking of systems, we have to talk about the signal chain. I saw buffered loop line output on the spec sheet.
Yes, and that word buffered is the key. That's what separates this from standard consumer gear.
Right, because a cheap loop out is often just like a passive Y-splitter inside the chassis, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And if you chain too many of those, you wreck the impedance and the signal it degrades.
But buffered means this amp is making a fresh, active copy of the signal to pass along.
Precisely. It means you can daisy chain them, well, pretty much indefinitely without any signal loss.
So you could have 20 of these powering a whole home audio system, all from one source.
And the 20th amp in that chain will sound just as clean as the first one. It's pretty amazing.
To handle those kinds of installs, I noticed they're using Euroblock connectors.
For up to 12-gauge speaker wire, yeah.
That's a pro feature you just don't see at this price.
It's so important, though. If you're running wire through walls, you need that thicker gauge to avoid voltage drop.
Okay, but having 20 amps is great until you have to, turn them all on.
Right, the rack management headache.
Yeah.
Well, the automation features here are designed to solve that. You have signal detection.
Which is okay, but it can be a bit laggy sometimes.
It can. You might miss the first second of a song while the amp wakes up. That's why the 12-volt trigger is the professional standard. It's instant.
And this unit has a trigger output as well, which is huge.
That's the key. So you're creating a control daisy chain to match your audio daisy chain.
So the preamp wakes up the first amp, which wakes up the second, and so on down the line.
Exactly. Or you could use that trigger output to, lower a motorized screen or dim the lights that lift the amp talk to the room.
It's impressive how much they've packed into a chassis that's only 1.8 inches tall.
It even comes with the rack ears to mount 2 of them side by side in a single 1U rack space.
So that's really the story of this device then.
Density and scalability.
Right.
It lets you build a huge high-channel count system in a very, very small space.
It's a really compelling argument for a more modular approach. And that brings us to a final thought for you to chew on. We live in this era of all-in-one wireless smart speakers, right? Everything relies on software and how good your Wi-Fi is.
Yeah, the world of the wireless mesh network.
Exactly. But when you look at a system built on physical copper, you've got buffered loops, hardwired triggers, and 12-gauge power, you have to ask, is this old-school method of discrete components actually the most future-proof smart home solution we have?
That's a great question. Something to consider before your next install.
Thanks for listening.